Here's something that slipped under the radar to a lot of people, myself included. There was a new animated series coming out called Solar Opposites from Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland. Dropped on Hulu. I don't get Hulu here. I had to find other means to watch it. Nothing illegal. Don't worry. It was interesting. To say the least, this came across, and it's a really bad analogy. It's the American Dad of the Rick and Morty stuff. Like, Family Guy is the thing people watch. American Dad's the other thing that's related to it. That's about it. Like, there's not much else I can really say about Solar Opposites that doesn't come across as mean. And that's kind of bad to say. It's not that great. I'm sorry if this was like a passion project for everybody involved, but it feels like it's just a complete and blatant, here's some more stuff to hold you over until we get more Rick and Morty for you. It does not have that much fun going on it. So it's basically your classic, troped sitcom idea where these aliens come to Earth. It's a Mork and Mindy. It's a third rock from the sun. And they're trying to survive, and they're trying to, take over the world or leave it or whatever. And then, your heroes and your family, they have to pretend to be normal, but then it kind of turns itself on its head in a different way where everyone knows they're aliens, but nobody does anything about it. It's kind of funny. Like, I don't want to completely say that this is garbage, but it's just, compared to a lot of other stuff we've had recently, it doesn't hold up that good. And I think a part of that is just the story itself isn't that compelling. It feels very toned down to Rick and Morty, and it's not as creative as something like American Dad, which goes to those places. It's the Rick and Morty humor if you kind of toned it down and try to make it into a situational comedy. And that can either work against a show or work for it. And in this case, it doesn't really hold up for me. I don't really like any of the leads that much. I will say Thomas Middleditch as Terry is pretty cool. He's got the most personality as like a character, Terry does. But other than that, everybody is just a basic beat. You got your kind of like sociopathic kid, you got your like a little more healthy, happier kid, and then you got your kind of paranoid dad type who is just, it's just not that compelling to watch. And I've watched all the episodes. I don't like any of the characters that much. I don't really like the designs either. They come across just too basic and uninteresting. They very Rick and Morty in that regard. They look very much like they're part of the Rick and Morty universe, but when you look at some of the fantastical stuff that these animators have created before, this is just pretty basic and it's pretty toned down. I don't know how else I could describe it as just, it's toned down Rick and Morty. It's not that compelling. Every episode I've watched, and I check my watch or I check my phone or something, and I'm like, how much time is left? Because it feels like it's dragging on forever, and it's not. Like, I remember I've checked it like earlier on, and when I was watching the season, I checked my phone. I'm like, I've only been watching this for 8 minutes. It feels like I've been watching it for 20 minutes. It's just so basic and boring, and I don't really think it's that compelling in any of those regards. I really wanted more from this, because I think some of the good stuff in Rick and Morty comes from Justin Roiland, when he's kind of doing the off-the-cusp stuff, so I could expect something good in that regard coming over to Solar Opposites, but I didn't get that. I just didn't get that kind of, that feeling, that energy. Every character just kind of has their moments. They make their popular culture references, and it works. It works if you want something like Rick and Morty, but then it doesn't go to the places Rick and Morty does. There's a whole C plot of like one of the kids, the older kid played by the guy from Goldberg's, Adam, I don't know, I'm just like stalling because I can't remember his name. Sean Gamenbrone or something, whatever. He collects humans, puts them in like a little jar, puts them in a terrarium, and then we got a whole like sub story of like going inside that terrarium and like the human lives that are in there and how they're reacting and how they're, it's kind of Mad Maxian, dystopian stuff inside this terrarium. It's just, why was this in here? Is this a huge part of Solar Opposites being inside this like little hamster cage with humans? Is that really how we need to fill more of this? You look at some of the stuff Rick and Morty does, they can fill a whole 22 minutes, but you have to add another subplot because you don't have that much interest going on. I don't think this one is going to hold up as good as some other cartoons. I don't know. This one just came across so basic, and it's trying to be, like I said, it's trying to be that classic, here we are, here's the aliens on Earth, oh, nanu stuff, but it's not that interesting. which sucks to say because I wish this was better. I wanted more from this. It looked intriguing for the most part. It can kind of get bloody and grimy and dark and interesting in some ways, but others it's just kind of basic, and you don't really need it. You don't really need this in the terms of everything in animation. It's the American Dad of Rick and Morty, and I say that fully well saying I like American Dad, sometimes more so than I do Family Guy. So Solar Opposites, it's not gonna be for everyone. It's definitely a basic show, and it's one that I wish more stuff came out of, but I understand what it is, and I'm not gonna complain. It's not for me. So if you guys want to watch it, go over to Hulu and check it out. It's 8 episodes. They all dropped. It's kind of cool. I hope you guys like it, because I'd like to see this go somewhere again and do another big show, because I think there could definitely be a season 2 of this that is better, and I think we could get there if we try a little harder. So I will always support this kind of programming. So check out Solar Opposites if you're interested, but if you want my honest opinion, it's not that great. Tsunami Studios.